The bride is young and beautiful and rich, and if you believe what the neighbours are already whispering, she is rich because of a bargain she should never have made. They say she sold her soul to pay for all of it. At midnight there is a sound outside, a carriage. She goes to the window, and what is waiting in the dark is drawn by 4 black horses and driven up on the high seat by 2 skeletons. She screams, she fights them. It makes no difference. They take hold of her and throw her into the coach, and it sets off at speed through the lanes, towards an old bridge over a black, slow-moving river. What happens when it reaches that bridge is the worst part of all, but that part waits. This is the Fen country, flat, drowned land, drained by men but never quite tamed. A place that lures travellers off the safe path with a light, a saint out of her grave, a girl into a coach she will never climb out of. Welcome to Unquiet Britain. Until a little over a century ago, much of this was not land at all. The Fens were swamp, thousands of square miles of reed and bog and black standing water, crossed by narrow paths that only local people knew. Drain it and you get some of the finest farmland in Britain. But before it was drained, crossing the Fens at night was a sure way to die. And the thing that killed you was a light. Travellers told of lights that appeared over the marsh after dark. They glowed and flickered and danced just ahead of you on the path, exactly where a person carrying a lantern would walk. Follow that light and it would lead you politely off the path and into the deep bog, and the bog would take you. The Fen people had names for it: Will-o'-the-Wisp, the Lantern Men, Jack-o'-lanterns. And they had rules. The first rule was that the lights were drawn to sound, and above all to whistling. Whistle on the marsh at night, and you were calling them. They would come closer. The second rule was what to do when they did. You did not run. They were faster than you. You did not follow. That was the whole trap. What you did was stranger than either. You got down, you lay face down in the mud, flat, and you pressed yourself into the wet ground, and you did not look up, not until the light had vanished, and the air above you was clear. Picture it, a grown man out on the freezing marsh, lying face down in the mud with his eyes shut, waiting for a light to lose interest in him. This is how seriously they took it. There is a natural explanation, and the old accounts reached for it confidently. Marsh gas, they said, given off by rotting vegetation, igniting on its own and burning for a while over the water. The truth is less tidy. Methane does not simply light itself in the cold night air. The best modern guess involves other gases from the same decay that can catch a light. But even that does not fully explain the cold light that seemed to retreat as you approached and to follow when you fled. So we are left where the Fen people were left, with a light on the water that behaves like something with an intention, something that comes when you call it. Remember that out here, when you make a sound, the dark answers back, because the dark is about to do it again. On misty evenings, on the Little Ouse, people have reported the same thing for centuries. A barge moving slowly through the fog, with no one poling it. Its crews are monks. They are chanting, and in the middle of the boat, laid out in an open coffin, is the body of a woman. To understand who she is, you have to go back to the year 654 and a woman called Withburga. Withburga founded a small religious house at East Dereham in Norfolk She was remembered as a saint. When she died, she was buried in the churchyard there, and there she stayed for 300 years. And then the monks of Ely came for her. In the year 974, the abbot of Ely gave an order. A saint's body drew pilgrims, pilgrims drew money, and Ely wanted both. So his monks travelled to Dereham, and under cover of night they dug Withburga up, lifted her out of her grave, and carried her body away by water, back towards Ely, to be reburied where she would earn her keep. That is the barge. That is what the chanting monks on the Little Ouse are still doing on the misty evenings, all these hundreds of years later, carrying a stolen saint away from her rest. But the theft did not go the way Ely planned. When the monks lifted Withburga out, a spring of clear water rose up from the empty grave they left behind, and the water was said to heal. So the pilgrims Ely had hoped to steal came instead to Dereham, to the hole where the saint had been, drawn not by her body, but by the absence she left in the ground. You can still find that well at East Dereham today, a spring that should not be there, marking the spot where men dug a holy woman out of the earth, and the earth refused to let the wrong go unanswered. A body that would not stay stolen, a grave that filled itself with water. The Fens do not give up their dead easily. They send back a light, or a spring, or on one particular night of the year, a coach. There is a beat of something gentler here first, though it does not end gently. In the winter before the Battle of Waterloo, a drummer boy came home to Norfolk on leave and fell in love with a girl from Potter Heigham. Her father would not have it. He would not give his daughter to a soldier, and so the two of them met in secret at a place on Hickling Broad called Swim Coots. It was winter, and the broad froze, and every evening the boy laced on skates and crossed the ice in the dark to reach her. One night the ice gave way, and the boy went through and drowned. But that is not where the story ends, because on misty evenings in February, at about 7 o'clock, the people of Potter Heigham say you can still hear it, the roll of a drum out across Hickling Broad. And then through the gloom, the phantom skater appears, beating a tattoo as he goes, still crossing the ice to keep a tryst with a girl who has been dead 200 years. A boy so set on reaching the one he loved that not even drowning could call him back off the ice. Hold that picture, because the other ghost of Potter Heigham loved nothing and was loved by no one, and her night is coming. Her name was Lady Carew, and she was married on the 31st of May 1742. Beautiful, wealthy, and it was said she had brought all of it by selling her soul to the devil. On her wedding night, the devil sent for what he was owed. This is the coach from the beginning of this story. 4 black horses, 2 skeletons on the seat, and Lady Carew screaming thrown inside, carried off at speed through the dark towards the old bridge over the River Tern. And here is the part that waited. When the coach reached the bridge, it did not cross it. It swerved, it tore straight through the parapet, and plunged down into the dark river below, and vanished in a hiss of steam. Every year the people there say, at midnight on the 31st of May, the whole thing happens again. The horses, the skeletons, the scream, the broken parapet, the steam on the water. She made a bargain to be lifted up, and once a year, forever, the Fens take her back down. A light that comes when you call it and leads you under. A saint dug out of her grave, and a spring that rose to mark the theft. A boy who would not stop crossing the ice. A bride dragged down through a bridge into a black river, again and again, on the same night every year. Strip away the ghosts, and what is left is the land itself. The Fens were, for most of their history, genuinely deadly. Drowned ground that swallowed the careless and the unlucky and gave very little back. The lights were real, even if what they were is still not settled. The drownings were real. People learned the hard way that out here the safe path was narrow and the water was patient. So they told stories that did what the land did, that lured you in with something lovely, a light, a love, a fortune, and then closed over your head. The Fens were drained 200 years ago. The water is gone. But what remains are the stories it left behind. This is Unquiet Britain.